All right, and welcome to the Doug Karns program here on All Noise Radio. I am your host, Doug Karns. My phone number is 267-495-4866. You can leave me a voicemail at any time, and I might even play it on the air if it's a good one. Or you can email me at dougkarnsprogram@gmail.com. You can also like my Facebook page if you just go to Facebook and search for the Doug Karns program and just hit the like button at the top of the page. That way I can keep you fill you in on any new shows and keep you posted on what's going on in the world. All right, so a lot has happened since the last time we talked. We had a joint session of Congress that the president called and gave a speech to, saying that we need a new jobs bill, which just sounds fantastic because, you know, the other three jobs bills that we had in the last 3 or 4 years worked so well that we need to have another one, if that makes any sense. Since they worked so well before, then we need another one. So really they didn't work well before. We just need to keep pumping money and money and money and money into the system until we don't have any money left. But we'll touch on that in a little bit. And we also had a couple debates in the Republican Party for the primaries. And we'll definitely touch on the Tea Party one that happened on CNN the other night. Rick Perry was my leading vote, and he gave some pretty bad answers that I just don't like, and I don't know if I can support him anymore. So it looks like it's back to Michelle Bachmann as my pick. But before we go into that, I just want to talk about real quick that last Saturday, me and my girlfriend Maureen, we helped volunteered at the End Alzheimer's Walk in Philadelphia. It was a very good experience. We also raised some money and did the walk ourselves to help fund, a cure for Alzheimer's. But I just want to touch on real quick that it just goes to show you, I mean, tons of people showed up for this thing, and this is just in the Philadelphia area. You imagine it all around the country. But a lot of people showed up for it, raised a lot of money, and we didn't need the federal government to do that. So it's just one prime example of how we can do things on our own. The federal government is not the solution. We are the solution. The federal government ends up being the problem more times than none. But we come together. When there's a problem, we fix it. And that's how our founders saw it. And it's always been that way since we started this country. We came together and we solved problems as a people, not as a government. And if you think about that with charities, we usually step up. There's always somebody that's affected by cancer or Alzheimer's or ALS or whatever it is. If you usually get a big group and you get a very compassionate group. I've donated many times in the past to different groups that, or different charities that never affected me, but just because I'm compassionate. And a lot of us are compassionate. Almost, I would say 90% of this country is compassionate. But the federal government doesn't pump that money into the charities. We do. We come together and we take care of that. And it just goes back to show you that if we started banding together as communities again and getting the federal government out of our house, out of our business, and elsewhere, that we can solve our own problems when it came down to it. And it just, like I said, with my tax plan, saying, how about we switch to bigger local taxes and less federal taxes? That way, each little community can be self-sufficient and take care of each other, and we'll be more involved, more responsible for each other in our own neighborhoods and communities. It's that simple. Imagine if Abington, the township I live in, got 25% of our wages of everybody that lived in Abington. That way we can go to board meetings every month and vote and say, hey, so-and-so, Mrs. Muckenfutch from, certain part of Abington, she needs help. Can we lend some money from the fund that we have in Abington to help her? Yeah, and everybody would vote yes. And then a bunch of us, since we all know about it, I'm sure we would just go and check on her and do our own part. But when you got the federal government doing everything, they just become numbers. The federal government just sends checks down. I don't see President Obama coming on and checking every single house in the entire country. It just, when you have a huge federal government like this, you can't pay attention to the people who need it. And there's a lot of people that need it. And this is where, like I said, if we band together as a community And if we brought the most taxes in as a community, we could take care of each other. And we could be very active in taking care of each other. So it was just a little, tidbit I was thinking of when I was helping volunteer for the walk this past weekend. And, just figured I'd pass it along and kind of show you that the people are the solution, not the government. And it's always been that way, and it will never, ever, I don't care what you think, the government for anything will never be the solution. It's up to us as a people. All right, so moving on, let's talk about this debate that happened on CNN, I believe, what was it? Sunday night, Monday night? It's one of those nights, I can't remember. But the first clip I have here is of illegal immigration, and I just kind of want to play it, and we'll come back and talk about it and let you know what I think, because but with all of our problems today, I don't think immigration, it doesn't seem like immigration is a huge problem compared to everything else, but if you really think about it, it is. So let's play this and we'll come right back.
Latino voters, go ahead, Senator Santorum.
Well, I mean, what Governor Perry's done is he provided in-state tuition for illegal immigrants. Maybe that was an attempt to attract the the Latino voters. But you attract Latino voters by talking about the importance of immigration in this country. You talk about the importance of, as Newt has talked about for many years, having English as the official language of this country. And I say that as again, my.
All right, so I know some people, including my girlfriend, have a problem with this whole, speak English in this country. But if you think about it, do we go to Italy and tell them they have to speak English because, we have some residents that might live there or migrate there or whatever if we go there to be tourists? No. We try to adapt as best we can with interpretation books or, some kind of app on your phone. But we don't ask them to speak English. That it's their country. Italy or Italian is their official language. That's what they speak because they are Italian. We are Americans. We speak English here. We have no problem people speaking Spanish, but when it comes to integrating in our society, I'm sorry, you're going to have to learn English. And Rick Santorum, which, listen, this guy, him and Michelle Bachmann, they are the two best candidates out there. It's a shame that Santorum does not have the backing like Bachmann or Romney or Perry does, because Santorum would make a perfect president. But he goes on to say why it was good for his father to learn English. But let me play that.
Father and grandfather came to this country not speaking a word of English, but it was the greatest gift to my father to have to learn English so he could assimilate into our society. We are a melting pot, not a salad bowl, and we need to continue that tradition.
Governor Perry, I'm going to move on to Governor Huntsman in a second, but you did sign legislation giving some illegal immigrants in Texas the opportunity to have in-state tuition at universities in Texas. And explain what that
in the state of Texas, if you've been in the state of Texas for 3 years, if you're working towards your college degree, and if you are working and pursuing citizenship in the state of Texas, you pay in-state tuition there. And the bottom line is it doesn't make any difference what the sound of your last name is. That is the American way. No matter how you got into that state, from the standpoint of your parents brought you there or what have you.
No, I'm sorry, Governor Perry, but if you came in here illegally, you need to leave and come in legally. It's not fair to the people who have come in here legally, and it's not fair to us. It puts a strain on the system because there's a reason why if you're in Texas, you're paying a lower rate to Texas schools because it's being subsidized by the state because you live there and you're paying taxes. But these illegals aren't paying taxes, so it's more money that's being spent, that less money coming in because of these illegals. So, like I've said before, let's make it easier for people to legally come into this country instead of trying to cross the border illegally. I'm tired of it. I'm fine with having immigration. This country is built on immigration. But come in legally so we know who you are, and you'll have better living conditions because these illegal immigrants make $2 a day, and there's like 40 of them living in one apartment building. Like, what kind of living conditions is that? We want to have compassion for these people? Well, how about that side of it? They live in horrible conditions. They get horrible pay, all just to be here illegally. Now, if you came in here legally, you would get minimum wage, you would get a visa, you'd be treated like a citizen, and you would get the rights as a citizen of the United States. So it's that simple. But if you're staying here illegally, you're putting a strain on the system, whether it's the healthcare system, because hospitals cannot turn you away, so you're taking up the healthcare system without putting the money into it, and with the schools, if the legislation Perry signed is saying that, hey, these illegals can work towards their college by paying state rates. Well, that's not fair because they're not paying taxes.
Yeah, and that's what we've done in the state of Texas, and I'm proud that we are having those individuals be contributing members of our society rather than telling them, you go beyond the government dole.
You heard some boos there, but go ahead, Congresswoman Bachmann. Is that basically the DREAM Act that President Obama wants as well?
Yes, it's very similar, and I think that the American way is not to give taxpayer subsidized benefits to people who've broken our laws or are here in the United States illegally. That is not the American way. Because the immigration system in the United States worked very, very well up until the mid-1960s when liberal members of Congress...
By the way, just to show you in this clip that... You know how the media always says the Tea Party is a bunch of old white people with their lawn chairs? In that clip, everybody cheering so loudly, there was black people, there was Latinos, and there was white people. And, there was people of all types in that crowd cheering for this. So a lot of people feel this way. And, for the media to call out the Tea Party and say that they're a bunch of racist white people with their lawn chairs, is ridiculous because we all share the same values, every one of us. I guarantee you 90% of this country, if we all sat down and discussed the values that we live in our life, we would agree on a lot of things. But between TV, politics, the news, we all get separated and we start hating each other. And if one thing with 9/11, if you remember 9/12, we didn't hate each other. We came together and loved each other and asked each other what we could do for one another. And this is what we need to start figuring out. Before we go to a break, I'm just going on a tangent here, but we need to come together again and find the same values that we have in common. I mean, there's many people I've met in my life that think on the opposite spectrum, and we've realized that we actually share the same values and actually agree on a lot of things once we start talking to each other. It's that simple. And we're up against a break here. We'll come back and we'll finish up this debate because there's a couple more audio clips I want to play and discuss. Some bad things, some good things. And as a little teaser, you got to hear this drunk guy, a Ron Paul supporter. It's fantastic. National Geographic caught him on tape. And we'll have to play because it's pretty funny. So we'll come back right after this.